greetings, beautiful beings. Welcome back to another episode of Sacred Sound Expressions. As you can see, we have a beautiful guest on air today. Please help me welcome Q, aka Qalani, to the show. Woo! Introduce yourself for me.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Q, and I'm a builder by trade, but I'm also a healer, a teacher, a guide, all of those different things. It's so funny because when we start talking about all that stuff and people ask me to say what I do, I'm like, I
Right.
do, you know what I'm saying? And it's funny because other people have asked me, like, what don't you do?
Mm.
So, but
It's
yeah.
it's it's perfect to me how you are a builder by trade, and today's
Mm,
topic is going to be manifesting and applying your human design in practical ways. And that's
mm,
basically the role of you're a manifesting generator, I'm a manifesting generator, and that's our role is to
mm.
build and share personal passions. And so I understand like the conflict when people say, "What do you do?" It's like, I do whatever I want, really.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I
I'm
just
I'm a so just to clarify, I'm a generator, not a manifesting generator.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So I'm
still.
I'm that I'm that go work, 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 that kind of
Mhm.
that thing. But human design is really, really interesting. I really didn't I see it was it 2019 or it was either 2019 or 2020 when I actually touched on human design. I was like, yo, this is it.
Yeah.
I got into astrology and all that stuff, but human design really gets into the nuts and bolts of it. And it's like I always say it's like a permission slip to be who you are,
Yeah.
because it really does say, oh, this is what you do. Don't run away from it.
Mm.
I know that's what I do. So why am I even tripping?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, human design just hits different. And
Hmm.
it's a bit more detailed. And for me, human design, astrology and things, it feels more on the like I'm predicting the future divination type stuff, whereas human design is like, no, I'm explaining your behavior. I'm explaining why you
Right.
act like that. And that's what I
Right.
loved about diving deep. So what is your authority? Is it sacral too?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love
That's
that.
and look, when I saw that, I was like, thank thank you, because now all of that stuff that I get excited about, like I can go in on this pen. If this pen is extraordinary, I'm like, I get excited about it and I'll talk about it and I'll be like talking about how exquisitely it writes and the fluidity and all that stuff. And yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do because
Mhm.
it's not about the pen and it's not about me being able to explain it. It's about my energy about the pen.
Yeah.
And when I'm excited about something, it's a win for everybody. And
Yeah.
so now I have the language to actually not just know it for myself, but be able to explain to others. Like when I first learned about my sacral authority, and then the whole idea there's no gray area. It's a yes or no,
Mhm.
hell yes or hell no. I was already lying with that,
Yeah.
but now I can explain it to others. So, for instance, if when my sister, it was last year sometime, she was like, I was supposed to be going over to her mom's house, and she was like, "So, what do you want me to cook? Is there anything that you want? This and that." And
Mhm.
that's a common question she always asks. And what I notice in myself is I'm always like, I don't know. But my first thing is that I'll go up here, and I say, you know what? I we go through this all the time. I don't know what I want to eat tonight, and you talking about 3 days from now.
Yeah.
So the best thing you could do is just make something. You already know stuff that I eat and don't
Mhm.
eat. Just make something and then say, hey, I got this, I got that. And now it's like, oh yeah. So now my gut can respond to it like, oh, you know what I'm saying? And it's instant. It's not a
Mhm.
me having to go up here and conjure something up to respond to.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big problem for generators and manifesting generators.
Yeah, and being able to human design, like you said, it gave us the vocabulary to be able to articulate to other people how I need to be treated and loved on, and how and in giving me the understanding of how I can better treat you and love on you and communicate with you. So
Absolutely.
yeah, being able to, but the thing about the sacral authority is that there's like a lower self and like there's like a lower vibrational, I hate that term, but there's like
Yeah.
a lower vibe and there's a higher vibe because all of my power, the sacral authority, like, okay, back up. So if anyone doesn't know the chakra system, the sacral or sacral chakra, it like governs the nether regions, it governs the reproductive system, your genitals. So if your power comes from that area, you're probably someone who experiences a lot of sexual energy and sexual expression. And if
Mhm.
you aren't aware of how to use this power and how to channel it up in higher dimensions, you gonna be out here busting it wide open and not realizing you're releasing all your power. So I
Mhm.
had to learn, like, no, you don't release that energy. Use it for you, like for yourself, instead of pouring it into someone else.
Absolutely. That's a good example because the whole thing about generators and manifesting generators is it can be maybe not so much with manifested generators because y'all do have that manifested part in
Mhm.
there, but it can be the people take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? All of that good juicy energy just coming through. And I know for me, in the professions that I've been in restaurant management and was in the kitchen. It was like that was fun. I'm sitting here reflecting. That was really really fun. And it's not like oh I wanted to be in the restaurant business, but that just was fun. Anyway, I
Mm.
was a barber, and then I went to Habitat for Humanity. When I got into building, it wasn't just like the typical construction, go on the job site and work. I went through Habitat for Humanity with no skills, but I knew how to deal with people. So all these different things were me coming together with people. It was my energy
Yeah.
that was the common denominator in these things. So, when you got all that kind of energy just on the job that I'm doing now, this lady's a healer. She wrote, she came up with, I can't think of it. I think it was Healing Hands or something like that. But
Hmm.
anyway, she's a healer, and she just always says, "I love having your energy around."
Hmm.
That kind of thing, and that human design is empowering because it's saying I can be mindful of that energy, and then I'm not haphazardly busting it wide open, as you said, and
Yeah.
just like all over the place, and people
Yeah.
taking advantage of it. Because if I'm telling you, I done told everybody, like, if I'm good, everybody around me is good.
Yeah.
I promise you that. But
Yeah.
if it's not cracking, we're gonna have a bad day.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to go back to how you were explaining how you were all in these different jobs, because this is
Mhm.
something I have to explain to my father, because he wants me just to pick a career and like dedicate 20 years to it like he did. And I explained to him like that's not how I work. I'm not ever going to do that because I have
Right.
to follow my excitement. And it was exciting for me to go work here and now I'm about to take a doula training. Like it's I have to follow what's exciting me because what I'm really doing is just building community. That's all
Mhm.
I'm doing. But I have
Absolutely.
to go about it in my own unique way, and it's not going to look like the path that you took. And I used to, like, before human design, I would kind of beat myself up because people are like, you pick up these projects and then you're done with them and then you start a whole new project. And I'm like, and everybody wants me to commit to one thing. And I'm like, bro, that's not how I work.
Right.
That's not how I
Right.
move.
That's the typical societal thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I love human design is because it's the deconditioning part of it that says no, no, that's not what I do. That might be what you do,
Yeah.
And then what's funny is the generation, like my parents, they're from that generation where it's was it depression? You know, all of that
Yeah.
stuff where it's to hold on to this, save that, and do all these things. And I remember hearing all of that stuff. And even now, in a lot of the gurus and people that have been highly successful in business and all that, there's this thing that says you got to do X, Y, and Z, work hard, work hard, work hard to get to this place. And I always had an issue with that because if that was the case, then all these guys, the people out here that are really working hard are not highly successful and wealthy. I mean, the people who's working job, 2, 3 jobs, is working
Right.
12 hours consistently, all that stuff. No, that's working hard. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So, no, it ain't that. You got to be able to yield to that excitement, as you said, because you
Yeah.
follow that, then I promise you, everything that's happened in my life that's been phenomenal was not because I worked hard to get it. And it's
Yeah.
not because I did all of this grinding and grinding. Like when I went to and lived in Spain for a month, I had always wanted to do that. I didn't have no money, but guess what? I knew I was going to be in Spain.
Hmm.
I could see myself, I could feel myself there, and things lined up. And one January, I was like, wait a minute, I got some money. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
out.
Out of
I'm
here.
gone.
Hmm.
And I did. You know what I'm saying? Because I followed that. I followed what was in here. And even though there was some conflict because I went up here,
Hmm.
it was still like it was so big that nothing could stop it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It had gotten that big in me. So,
Yeah. It's funny. So I wrote think big for our notes today. I wrote think big because the first thing I thought of when I woke up this morning is this TikTok that was like, you're thinking too small. You need to think big. And like that's the first thing I heard when I woke up this morning. And that was kind of like the theme of today. Like I'm thinking way too small and not giving myself permission to want what I really want because it's big. And I
mm,
feel like I have to work for it. And I realize I've just been trying too hard to manifest.
mm,
Trying way too fucking hard, bro. Just
mm, hmm,
relax. Let it
exactly.
come.
Exactly. That's that feminine aspect. I
Mhm.
mean, I hear you talk about the feminine, and you know,
Come
this
on,
would get
let's get
into
into it. Let's get
a
I felt it. Let's get into it.
so that masculine and feminine. So here's the thing with masculine and feminine, and people talk about divine masculine, divine feminine, and all that kind of stuff. That is part of that split in consciousness. There's no masculine. There's no separation.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no separation in it. But in this reality, we use that particular language. But in using that language, it perpetuates the whole state. So the idea is to change state. So that's the reason we see all this gender fluidity and all this kind of stuff. It's not because, oh, everybody going to hell and people don't know. No, it's because we're coming back into that
Yeah.
oneness. We're coming back into that. So us being the creators of this reality, we're going to see that reflection out
Mhm.
here. So that divine masculine and feminine, people's like, oh, you got to be more feminine. You got to, or toxic masculine and all this stuff. Like, okay. So you saying a man has to be this way and that way, but there's certain things that you do naturally that are feminine. Like all of this stuff out here is feminine. Sitting here is feminine. Resting is feminine. You know what I'm saying?
It's
But we put
natural.
right, we put a persona on it. We
Mhm.
put a gender on it. I put it that way.
Yeah.
We put masculine and feminine in gender, and it's not gender. You have
Right.
gender, then you have the energy, which is it really is divine. Divine is divine. It ain't either masculine or feminine. It
Right.
just is. We
Mhm.
assign it to it, and we put it in that persona because it's easy for us
Mhm.
to identify it. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I've experienced that conflict when I make those videos because it's like I know there is no
Mm,
separation. And and secondly, when I make those videos, I'm speaking to your internal feminine and internal masculine. I'm not talking to two separate people.
mhm,
I'm talking to one person. And
mhm,
it's like I had to, it's either I have to explain that every single video or just
mhm.
let you decide for yourself. Like you can figure it out on your own, bro.
Yep, exactly. That's what I said at one time is that you just gotta let people experience their version of you.
Yep.
We think we got to do all this explaining. And listen, I'm as someone who was dealing with communication, not communication, but actually using my voice back in 2017 is when I started to reactivate my voice. I didn't know there was a issue with my voice.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't mean physical voice, but I mean actually speaking up for myself. And
Yeah.
that's a typical thing for generators. But you got to, oh, dang, where was I going with that? Um, you got to allow people to experience that version, whatever it is that they're going to experience.
Right.
Because if I'm going to sit here and try to explain myself, then what is that saying about how I feel about
Hmm.
what it is that I'm, conveying?
Right.
Like my energy will speak for itself, and if I follow the excitement, if I follow that part and don't try to fake it, it's just like people talk about if you lie about a particular thing, it takes way more energy to try to uphold that lie
Hmm.
than just to be authentic. There's such great relief
Wow.
in being honest and authentic
Wow.
initially. And I promise you, every single time I'm like, fuck it. And then and I'm honest out the gate. It takes the weight off because you ain't got
It's
to carry that with you, you
It's
know?
crazy that you're saying this back to me because literally
Mhm,
just last night I had a homegirl come over to the house. We had a glass of wine, and literally that's the exact conversation we had was about being authentic. And because
mhm,
it takes so much energy to put on a representative, put on a mask and go out in the world, like that takes so much energy to uphold. And it's all tying together in such an interesting way because as we were talking about job hopping, I thought like, damn, is that why I feel like I'm poly? Because because
Yo.
I just follow my excitement and I like variety. So I the reason why she came over is because she was also non-monogamous and now she's in a monogamous relationship. And I asked
Mhm,
her like, do you feel like you sacrificed something? Like, like, do you feel like you're still yourself? Do you feel like you're still getting your needs met? Because she was like the most poly person I freaking know, man. Like,
mhm,
and because she's poly from a place of love, like, it's not poly from a place of I want to have sex with everyone. It's just I want to
right,
love everybody. And
right.
I identify with that very strongly. But as I'm doing these, feminine and masculine readings and calling in my own divine masculine, it's like I've been struggling with deciding, are you non-monogamous or am I monogamous? Like pick one, babe. What are we
Mhm,
doing here? Because
mhm,
I know that I have to decide and I have to be clear so that I'm not changing my identity based on who I'm dating.
mm.
And so,
So do you really have to decide?
that's what I was about to get to. So when it comes to authenticity and following our human design and tying this all up, I don't. It's trying too hard. Trying to decide and trying to have this firm like identity. That's not even me applying my human design. My
Mm.
identity thingy is fluid. Um
Is it open?
it's open, yes.
Yeah, I
So
got
it's
an open
like
G center too.
just let it flow. You don't have to decide. If like you trying to decide is you trying too hard. Like it feels I like I'm up here and I'm not down here.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's big with an open G center because I got an open G center, and even to this day, um, even when I think about okay, what it is that I do per se, because I've known for many years that I'm a healer before we even met and before I even because I've always been interested in metaphysics and how the body works, the mind, humans, period.
Yeah.
And stuff just didn't feel right because I mean I got been certified as a Reiki master, teacher, all that kind of stuff. But I never say that is who I am. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Not because, oh, I don't think I'm good enough or anything. It just it I don't know, it feels like I'm putting on a show. And that could be, what do you call
Oh
that?
my God.
The imposter syndrome could have been coming through. Are you good?
Oh
You all
God.
right? Okay.
I choked on my water.
Okay.
Oh God. Keep
So,
going. I muted so I
yeah.
wouldn't interrupt you.
Oh, no, that's all good.
Oh,
So I don't know. It felt like maybe it could have been that part, the imposter syndrome or something like that. But the identity, as far as like knowing who you are, I never really got why I had figured out, oh, this is who I am and this is exactly what I do. This
yeah.
thing right here, this one thing. It's like, oh, it's not because I do a lot of stuff and it really is about following the excitement.
Yeah.
That's not saying I won't ever do this again or that again, but what I've recognized in my own, as far as career, is there's this, there's like a 7 year shelf life, if you will.
Ooh.
It really is, because if I think back,
Ooh, I have to send you this book. Oh God.
okay, all right, as there was, let's see, back in the, yeah, there was 7 years in that first, so when I was a barber, I'm just gonna start there. But even before that was 7 years. As a barber, I was in my element because I'm in a spot where I'm the central
Yeah.
figure,
Yeah.
literally and figuratively. I'm like at the center chair when people walk in, and I was the manager. But more so as a barber, you're like the counselor. You go
Yeah.
in there and you have great conversation, and that's what I do. And I didn't, at that time, I didn't realize it. We was just having fun. But there was a point where I was like getting tired. I was like, man, I got to get out of here, because I'm sitting there looking outside this beautiful day and all these people waiting on me. And I'm like wanting to get out.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find my way out and nothing was working. I even got into insurance. I don't even believe in insurance. And I got into insurance and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until I I got happy where I was and stopped looking for some way out. And
Yeah.
I completely shifted. Everything shifted, and all this stuff started opening up. Then I went and volunteered at Habitat for Humanity. Started working there, but it was 7 years. I left there. I kind of stayed a little bit longer than the 7 years, but I felt that feeling
Mm-hmm.
around 7 years. Same thing happened at Habitat for Humanity.
Mm.
I stayed there for like 10 years though, but it was around the 7 year
Yeah.
mark where I felt that it's bigger than this.
Mm.
I feel like I'm getting boxed in. I can't be where I want to be and still having to come into this job, you know?
Mm.
So
That's so the book I want to send you is called Self Mastery in the Life Cycles, seven life cycles or something like that. So basically he broke, after doing like a lot of studying, he broke down that we all operate in years of seven. So from birth to
mm,
seven, seven to 14, 14 to 28, and so on. And
mm,
he observed the patterns and basically came up with a system for you to operate under, so that you're working not only with your own energy but with the universal energy. He's like saying not only do we operate in cycles of seven, so
uh,
does the ethers or whatever.
right, right.
And like it's interesting because my cycle ends in a few days. Like I'm about to be 29 in like a few days, and that's a
Okay.
whole new set of 7. And
Wow.
I can feel that. I feel it so strongly when I tell you this is my last year in Kentucky. I'm for real. Like
Wow.
I feel it's like I can feel the newness. I can feel a
Mhm.
whole new life happening for me. And it's crazy because now when I think about it, because I got married at 21 and divorced at 22. So it was like that cycle, this cycle that I'm ending started with a marriage slash divorce. And
Wow.
it's like this whole cycle has been about me discovering who I am, self-discovery and self-mastery, and being having enough courage to say no, this is what I want. I don't want that. Just because society wants me to want this doesn't mean
Mhm.
I want that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're basically in it right in your Saturn return.
Oh fuck. I'm so grateful because it ends, my Saturn return ends March 7th,
Okay.
2023, and I am
Hmm.
so grateful for this to be over with. I'm grateful that I went through this, but I'm
Uh-huh.
very grateful that I'm almost over. And it's crazy because not only does Saturn return, my Saturn return ends in March, my doula training is in March. March is the new year to me because it marks the
Mhm.
beginning of spring. So it's
Okay.
like
Yep.
March is the month, okay? March is
Yep.
that month to like
For
get
sure.
going. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh man, Saturn return. I remember that Saturn return. I,
Talk about
wow.
it. What was it like?
Yo, that was so I didn't even know anything about Saturn return.
Yeah.
And uh the queen I was dating at the time, she heavy in astrology.
Hmm.
And ironically, wait a minute, we hit 2017. 2017, we actually got came back together in 2017. I'm trying to think about the math in that. But anyway, that Saturn return was it was deep on a relationship level.
Hmm.
Like in that relationship on meeting her. So we met not officially, but yeah, it was officially. I was going to this Indian restaurant that I always go to. I was just getting something takeout. And as soon as I walk in the door and look to the right because I saw a friend of mine, but my friend who she was eating with, her back was to there, but I looked directly at her.
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, get her. And so as I was going to get my food, it wasn't ready yet. So I went over there and talked to her. And I just started talking. It wasn't like, oh my God, she's beautiful. I mean, it was I know you, that kind
Yeah.
of feeling.
Hmm.
And after that, I got my food and went on, and I was like, oh, I'll see you again. I wasn't even I already knew it.
Yeah.
And the second time I saw her, now listen, this Whole Foods that we have here has been here for some time, and I've been going since religiously. That's the place I shop,
Right.
and I've been going there since. But I've never in my life seen her ever. I get to Whole Foods one night. I don't park beside her.
Ooh.
Right. I was like, okay, all right. So then, without going into a whole bunch of stuff, our whole relationship felt like I want to say like a preparation or a.
Mm.
It was so like it was. I've never been like openly like expressive. I was able to fully express
Yeah.
myself. She was able to, and I wasn't like worried about. I had no care in the world about who she was friends with, who where you been, all that kind of stuff. That was not even remotely in my mind.
Right.
This was a whole nother level. I mean, that was a it was a very pivotal point in my uh, expansion as
Yeah.
far as you know breaking through some traumas around sexuality and just being able to because I would get a lot of times women would say would feel confused by me in a sense
Mhm.
that sacral
Mhm.
is it's always,
Mhm.
but I'm not like consciously trying to be,
Yeah.
all out here, but that's what was emanating. Yeah, I was real reserved and, you know, you know, kind of not quiet, but what's the word? I don't know, reserved.
Yeah.
And, and then that just really allowed me to open up in a way that I hadn't before. So I'm forever grateful. Now, I ain't gonna say it wasn't a challenge because we did this,
Yeah.
but when we did this in a way that's not typical uh, out here. You know what I'm saying? We did that in a way that was very deep dive into going all in and pulling all that stuff out. And so when we got back together the second time, which was probably 10 years later, I believe, then it was it was still some stuff, but it was stuff on a whole other level.
Yeah.
It was not that root core stuff. It was heart stuff. It was real
Yeah.
heart. So, but that Saturn return, I remember that just because of that whole relationship and moving on past that. So I
I'm
don't know,
telling
honey.
you, growth, honey. Like unbelievable freaking growth.
You
So
said sacred
really,
thoughts.
for me, my Saturn return just goes back to me talking about this 7-year cycle. It was all about really the art of understanding
Mm,
myself, understanding how the world is moving, understanding universal law, and also it's the art of understanding, but also defining, coming up with my own definitions of like love and femininity, because yes, like there's this natural innate or like default version of feminine and masculine energy, but I get to for me feminine and masculine is like a spectrum. It's
mm-hmm,
not like one or the other, and
mm-hmm,
I get to decide where I want to fall on that spectrum.
mm,
So that's what this Saturn return has been about.
hmm. Yeah, and that's good that you said that the feminine, masculine, all that is a spectrum because if you look in, I mean, you can't do one without.
Right.
It's like giving and receiving. You have to give and receive. In fact, here's the interesting part of the masculine, feminine, and all the indoctrination of how we've had this patriarchal society, and then it's saying, oh, everything that we do has been masculine, masculine, masculine. Then you have the rise of the divine feminine. It's not necessarily the rise of the divine feminine, meaning women, but
Mm, mm,
the uninitiated woman is like that's another way to keep the conflict going because it's the man versus the woman. Now it's we're the woman's getting back in power and doing all this. No, feminine means in everybody
yep.
because that has been suppressed, not just women being suppressed. That's why I say people got this attaching the gender to the energy. It's been suppressed, period. So all of the things that are feminine, that are the power, that are the bigger part or the subconscious, as we call it, it's still part of that split. Subconscious, conscious, that's still split. The yielding, the doing this is the power. Like we talked about, or I, yeah, we did talk about it in a response, but the uh, vulnerability,
Yeah.
that whole thing.
Ooh.
Like,
Ooh, let's get into it. Ooh.
yo, there's no weakness, strength, or nothing. It is okay. That experience that I had that I said was vulnerability is a superpower was like the most sure, powerful, confident. I mean, I'm like crying,
Mhm.
naked, sitting on the side of the bed, and I'm speaking from my gut, like
Mhm.
not in a but I'm speaking very clear, very powerfully. I'm like, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You've done nothing wrong. And I'm speaking to us. And I'm like, all of this is coming through. I was like, yo, this is God right
Mhm.
here. And there was nothing weak or uh, scary or injurious about it. Like, the word vulnerable itself literally means to hurt or to be susceptible to hurt or pain or
Mhm.
suffering. I'm like, no, no, that's not what that was. So I like you said, what did you say? Authenticity? Or I forgot the word, one of the words that you said. I said, I like that better. It's like
Oh,
being authentic or transparent.
transparency.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, transparency. Yeah, because it reminds me of a child.
Mm.
We would say, based on our understanding, that a child is vulnerable because they can't fight for themselves, but that's coming from the mind. That's
Yeah.
coming from you think you have to fight. You
Mhm.
think you have to do something.
Mm.
But if you look at the child, you can throw the child can be like a baby, can be thrown out in the wilderness, and everything will come to support and take care of and nurture the child.
Mhm.
Everything. This is what was reflected in Avatar,
Yeah.
where it's it's the it's an organism. This is an organism. We talk about the microcosm and the macrocosm. This is not just a, a meat sack. This is a community of different vibrations mingling together in this particular space. And
Mm.
so that's what this out here is reflecting. So when we look at the community, I mean, there's been examples of like when the baby fall in the gorilla pit. And
Yeah.
humans, from that perspective of the mind and the conflict, oh my God. And because the gorilla goes and grabs the baby. The gorilla ain't, what nigga, you watching too many movies.
Rest
Like,
in peace, Harambe.
yo, yes. Like, no, that's not what the gorilla is doing. Gorilla knows the heart. We
Mhm.
come in pure.
Yeah.
So do you think we're God in the flesh right then as a baby? You think all of this is coming to attack the baby? No, that's not what's happening. It's coming to support. Because if the child feels a certain way, like you can't deny a child, man. I mean, if you
Yeah.
can, then something's up with you. You got to work on that yourself. But like
Mm.
when a baby's crying or a baby asks for something or whatever the case may be, we bend over backwards. Like you will literally jump out in front of a car to protect or save a child.
Yeah. Even if it's a
So
stranger's baby. It doesn't matter
exactly,
whose baby it
it
is.
doesn't
You gonna
matter.
save that baby. Yeah.
Exactly,
Do
they're
you have
animals.
kids?
I don't
Do you
actually.
want kids?
I do.
Nice.
Really?
I just
Yeah.
I part of me getting clear on who I am and going through this self-discovery phase was getting clear on who I want to be as a mother. And my
Mm.
spirit, I think also because I'm turning 29, I think something happens in a woman's body. It's like, what
Yeah.
you
Come
doing?
on. Come on. Uh-huh.
But I think it's also my spirit is just telling me like, prepare yourself. And I live with my sister and her 5 children. So I have been operating as a co-parent, and I've been able to have like a dry run of
Mm-hmm.
parenting and been able to
Mm-hmm.
have this contrasting experience to compare. Oh, I don't want to raise my kids like this and like this, but I do want to raise them with this and with this. And
Mm.
going back to what you were saying, everything that you were talking about as far as perceiving nature, what I was getting from that was, do you believe we are in a harmful environment, a hostile environment, or do you believe we are in a helpful environment? And whatever it is that you believe is what the universe is going to bring you evidence of. So if you believe you're in a hostile environment, yes, you're going to get more evidence that you're in a hostile environment and you need to protect yourself. But if you
Yeah.
believe this universe is conspiring to help you, that's exactly
Mhm.
what you're going to see.
Absolutely. 1000%. So then that shows you are the center of everything.
Yeah.
So let everybody tell it, let society tell it, the whole thing where, oh, the world, you think the world revolves around you? It does.
Yeah.
It does. Because if you were not in existence, none of this would exist. And people, how can you say that? Things go on and life goes on. Okay. How can you, if you weren't here, then what?
What would you
Because,
be experiencing, right?
right, all of this right here, you, me, whoever I come in contact are just me pushed out,
Yeah.
outside of me. Then once this is gone, none of this, I'm the experience. I'm experiencing
Mhm.
this.
So, like, I like blending science and spirituality. So, the way
Okay.
that
Yep.
I was able to come to this understanding is that if you know how eyeballs work, you're not actually seeing anything. Your
Right.
eyeballs are picking up on light and your mind is translating it. I'm not actually looking at anything. So everything that I'm experiencing from my senses is all being translated in my mind.
Mm.
Therefore, this entire experience is being translated in my mind, and I'm having my own unique universe within here, and you are having your own unique universe within here. And I can't, I can never tell you that's not what you're experiencing because I can never be in your universe. That's your
Right.
universe. This is mine.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what's wild is that so earlier, and it caused me to go back to one of my I got a journal for like insights and breakthroughs, and then I got just a daily journal kind of thing. Right before, not right before, but earlier today, there was an ad on Facebook for, it was something about blurry vision, and it
Mm,
was going into the exact same thing. Because people think, oh, you can't heal this and that. Listen, there's no such thing. Everything can be healed and fixed and all this stuff, but it was talking about the eyes. And in that ad, they were talking about you don't see with your eyes. It's
right.
literally a window for raw data to come in,
Yeah.
and it's directly connected to the brain, so literally. And so the brain reorganizes. So vision impairment has nothing to do with the actual eyes.
Yeah.
It's the neurons in the brain that
Mm,
are damaged. And so now the information is getting either jumbled up, it's blurred, or it's disconnecting. That's why we have problems with the vision. So as you were saying that, I'm like, yo, this is
yeah.
nuts. I love how things just
Unfold.
unfold. Yeah. So that's, oh God, man, I don't know how long you got, but it's like,
I'm cool.
man, let me
Yeah, yeah,
take a
yeah.
breath.
Sacred pause, guys. And I feel like it's actually partial. It is partially the eyes because the eye is the equipment. And if my camera is damaged, you know
Mhm,
what I'm saying, then like if I get an infection in my eye,
mhm.
that has nothing to do with the neurons. That's my equipment is being
Oh,
damaged.
really? Oh,
I don't
really?
got not to say nothing to do with the neurons in the brain,
So
but if I
this
take a
is,
pencil and stab my eye, like,
mhm.
it doesn't matter how healthy my neurons are, my equipment has been damaged.
So you still think that you can't see if your equipment is damaged?
If I pluck my eyeballs out, am I still gonna
Mhm,
be able to see?
mhm.
Um, Based on my own experience, yes, because so one time when I was eating mushrooms, I closed my eyes, but I could still see everything. So I still see? Yes. Is it this will it be the same as using these equipment? No. But will I still be able to see? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I'm asking that because first of all, we don't even see with the eyes, you know. And secondly, have you ever seen uh these? I mean, it's not just children, but they're doing the training with the blind. They put on the blindfold and they're training them to see, literally,
Mhm.
like can read a book, can pick out colors, can move through mazes, completely blindfold.
Yeah.
So no, all of this is not even act. The seeing is the imagination,
The greatest
and
nation in the world.
yeah. So if all things are the imagination, this is just I'm imagining just because we are so fixated and we've gotten so conditioned and the program is running that says, oh, this is how I see, and goes back to what you're saying, whatever you believe.
Yeah.
So we believe that, then that's going to be the case. So you're not wrong. As a matter of fact, everybody's always right.
Right, exactly. All
Everybody's
truths are
always right.
true, honey.
Exactly. So you can't, regardless of what, like somebody say this and that, you're right. I mean, you're right because it's your experience, it's whatever you're experiencing. So, and I'll say, I get the whole like, oh, if I close my eyes, I can envision and do all this. But there was one time, and this wasn't even had nothing to do with mushroom. I didn't get to try mushroom until like 2020.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience. But there was one time, I don't know if I don't think I was meditating. I was just doing something. I might have been meditating. I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden, so even on backtrack, even on the mushroom, my first mushroom trip was it was dark, but I could see. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this is very clear,
Yeah.
bright. But there was one time that I had my eyes closed and I saw this darkness, and I can have envision certain things, but it's more of a feeling. Then all of a sudden, as if like you wiping dirt, like this light started coming out, and like the scene got this clear, just like I'm opening my eyes right now, but my eyes were still closed.
Wow.
I was like, what the fuck? It's like, yo, is this what people see when they see vision? Because I'm like, I've been missing out. But that was the only time it happened for like a split second.
Yeah.
But I could not believe how crystal clear,
What did
like
you
literally,
see?
whatever was there. I don't know. I don't even remember what it was that I
Yeah.
saw, but I remember just
It got
it
clear.
felt,
Yeah.
yeah, like I opened my eyes. Oh my God. So this is so that's why I asked that because I'm tripping. This is not really. I got a
There's so
whole.
much more. Yeah.
Yeah. It's way more.
No, I
And
definitely know there's more going on that my that I'm just not I don't have enough belief to see, but I do
mm,
have enough belief. I can see the spirit realm a little bit. Like I can
mm,
see it a little bit. So basically, if it started out as like shadows and like what most people see, like I feel
yeah,
like most people can see the shadows and the quick little lights beaming and things like that. But I'm a little bit past that. So now
mm,
I can see like I can see whatever is there, but very quickly. So like
mm,
so people think the spirit realm, it's not just people. There's animals, there's
mm,
bugs. And if you don't
mm.
keep your room clean, there are spirit bugs in your room. I've seen them. That's how I know. Um,
Wow.
when my homegirl got married, I could see like ancestors and her like animal spirit guides. Like she's protected by some big ass cat thing. And I don't know I don't know what kind of
You
animal that
said
was. It
cat
was just a big
thing.
ass cat. And So like now I can see, it's just
Uh,
quickly. It's not, I can't like hold the
I
thing, but
got
I know what it is.
I got you. The vision is it's a fleeting type vision.
Yes. But I can see
I
it.
believe that's because of how much dependency we have on these.
Yeah.
That's why we don't see
Yeah.
as we used to. We and when I think about my well, mushroom for sure, but bufo experience.
I've only microdosed Bufo and it was
How the hell
wild.
do you do that? How do you microdose?
Um, so essentially he didn't have enough. So what he
Uh-huh.
had got split. It's basically like you're down the line and wherever you were in the line is how much you got. So it was
Okay.
just like basically one hit. It was just basically like a very small amount, essentially.
Hmm.
And
That's
it was the second time I did it, it was mixed with other stuff. So it wasn't I think he what did it was from Dooley. I don't can't remember what he called it. Changa,
okay.
Shanga or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah, Changa.
It
I've
was
heard.
Changa and then a little bit of Bufo and something else. Like it was a mixture of things.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that I'm gonna tell you that right there. If you don't know, now you know.
Right.
Because
Talk about it. What was it like?
I it's really, really the words are not even adequate. But so because I went over to see OU, that's my dude right there. So um first of all, in the Jin room, and set and setting is so
Yeah.
important because I would not have had the same experience otherwise. But I walked in the Gin room because I had seen him, posting when
Yeah.
he first was doing it, and I was like, bro, oh, this is legit. I felt it when I walked in. I you know, I was like, oh, it's tight, when you seeing it online, but the feeling and everything was so um like supportive, nurturing environment, the whole thing. And we went in, I did my, inhale, ate, then and when I went back, I said, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like being shot around, in uh when Doctor Strange, when she knocked him out of his body,
Yep.
ooh, he went that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Like all straight coming out from right here. And it felt like eternity.
Mm.
But it's 26 minutes was how long I was there. And I I don't remember everything that I was doing, um, because he was like, "Oh, you was trying to get up, and you kept trying to get up, and you would get back down, get up, and get down." But I do remember he said I was putting my legs, hands up and stuff. I was like, that must have been when I was feeling like I was coming out the womb or something. Um,
Mm.
and I remember closer to the end, this I mean, I was crying so hard, but I was balled up in that position. And I was like, I said, this feels amazing. Like
Yeah.
the crying felt actually really, really good. I don't remember. Do remember screaming, but I don't remember. She said, um, Deidre said that she was surprised because I'm such a, calm, cool dude, but I'm like, whatever was going
Right.
on. But that crying, oh my God, it felt amazing. And then the laughing Buddha came back from what I experienced in one of my mushroom ceremonies. And I was just laughing and I mean real
Yeah.
guttural.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my God. But that's just nothing compared to what it was. That's
Right.
just the little physical stuff that I remember. But you talking about being one with God,
Yeah.
it's actually kind of frightening
Yeah.
if you're not prepared. Like if you have a whole different mindset, like it can mess somebody up.
Yeah.
You know, uh, not saying, but I don't. I say that I don't believe that. Truthfully, I don't believe it can mess you up because it goes in such a deep place to the heart that I know when I was coming out, I was like, bro, this frog, this is in a frog, a toad, bro. This,
Mhm.
I said, nothing matters.
Yeah.
Nothing, nothing matters. I said, I cracked myself up.
Yep.
I'm in here, I'm like, just like blown away. And that was the ceremony. Afterwards, for at least 10 days consecutive, because I remember him saying, Bufo like to show up at around 3 a.m. And I was like, okay, I didn't know what that
What that
meant.
meant. Yeah.
And it'd be, around that time, and I don't know how to describe it, but it was like, it's like breathe cool, refreshing, like I felt that. And then it felt like I was in space, but
Mm.
my physical body was doing all of this
Mm.
stuff. And I wasn't doing it. I'm like, yo, and it felt like I was getting ready to go back in. So there was a little, oh shit, what's happening?
Right.
And this would happen um literally for 10 days straight. But then after that,
Mm.
it was kind of like a few weeks go by, and then all of a sudden, I'm I'm like ready to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden, and I wake up, and then I'm not, I'm not, I'm not doing this, but the
Yeah.
breathing is like a
No, I've experienced that before on a trip where it felt like something was breathing for me. And it was
yes,
like I had on an armor and I finally took it off. And now I can breathe like out, like I can breathe in a way that I could never have breathed before. But it was like something was breathing for me. I wasn't the
yes,
one doing it. Yeah.
yes, exactly. So powerful, powerful experiences.
Man. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Like, I know that's what's coming next for me is sitting in more ceremonies
Mhm.
for me. And there was a lot I can see now that I've been these last few years have been preparing me for this next phase. Like where
Mhm.
I'm in Bufo ceremonies and ayahuasca ceremonies, and like I had to mentally, like you say, if you don't have a certain kind of mindset, it can scare, it can frighten a person. It can get a little crazy. And
Yeah.
it's been about just broadening my perspective so that I'm open enough to allow the medicine to talk to me. And to go
Mhm.
back to what we said about understanding, and people are going to get whatever version of you that their mind will allow them to see. And I've
Mhm.
had to go through this process of being like stripped down so that this medicine can come to me without me placing or projecting any type of judgment or what is supposed to happen or all that stuff.
Yep. And yeah, because I never had, so with any of this, I never have any kind of like expectation, intentions, or none of that stuff. I'm literally I'm guided to it. I'm answering the call, and it's like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
What is here for me?
Yeah.
And I did my first ayahuasca. I've been that was really the first plant medicine that I've ever been have well, other than uh, cannabis, but that I really knew about way back. I think it was coming out of high school is when I first knew about ayahuasca, and I was like, I have to experience this. And this was before it was popular. This was I want to go sit with the shamans in the Amazon, etc. And I haven't really, well, I felt the call, but before it was not, I wasn't in a position to actually go.
Yeah.
This time, last year, was it last year? No, that was just this year. Was the first time I actually experienced Aya.
Yeah.
Man, that's a different level, and it really, really, those of that I went with know that my whatever I was dealing with, they said I was in there fighting, like struggling. I said, no, I really wasn't.
Right.
What was happening wasn't me fighting. I was completely
Yeah.
like surrendered.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I'm in it experiencing, it's like a third person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm experiencing it from this third person observation.
You doesn't say the
Yeah,
observer.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever was I felt that was in me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think that came from that 10-gram mushroom experience. Um, because after that, I was, randomly experiencing a whole lot of different things where my face was doing all kind of stuff like that on its own. And this would be, and I was like, this ain't normal, man. I don't know what's going on. Something's going on
Yeah.
because that is literally not me doing that.
Yeah.
And it's not a neurological type
Right.
thing. I feel it from up here. But Aya is so nurturing, so loving that, like, and not just Aya, but the Ioscaros and the medicine woman, everybody that was involved in the ceremony, doing their thing and singing and the music, and then coming over with the tobacco and the smoke. All of that was a part. I was just observing all of it, like, wow, thank you, that. And at the end of it, it was, I'm different.
Yeah.
I just put it that way. I'm different. Like
Have you ever worked with the mescaline, the cactus?
yeah,
San Pedro or something?
yeah. So I didn't get to fully
Yeah.
because I made it and it was really concentrated. And so then I was like, so it was only like this much, but I didn't know. I said, well, let me break it down and see. And I really just kind of wasted. I didn't say wasted. I hate to say wasted, but I didn't really get to
Yeah.
tap into it like I wanted to. So
It's coming.
it's coming.
It's
It's coming.
coming.
I'm doing my second Aya ceremony next in June.
Mm.
I'm going back to Mexico.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this seems like the perfect place to pause, but you have to come back to the show. There's no way this is the only time we're ever going to have a conversation.
No, it can't be because I mean, that's why I was like, I wonder how long the show is gonna be. Because
No,
I feel
listen.
like I could talk forever.
Right. Listen. So it's like, nah, we got to do this again. Like for real. This was dope. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your story. Like you have such a powerful story and I am so grateful that you've shared that with me and my community that I'm building.
Absolutely, thank you. I appreciate you having me. I was like excited when you said, "Hey, I want you to be on my show." I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll do that."
Thank you for that because my guest yesterday said the same thing, but I feel weird about asking people, but now after that, nah, I'm just gonna just send out hella messages because I just feel like we all want this. And what she said to me was like, I want to do this. I just don't want to do like the back end, the logical, you know what I'm saying, the filming and the editing. I was like, no, I like doing that part. And
Uh-huh.
it was all perfect. And so yeah, no, we're gonna have you back very soon because this was amazing.
Awesome. I can't wait.